Boxing truth here. Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, is demanding a 50-50 split, according to comments from, I believe, the LA Times, a story produced by Lance Quagmire, as both fighters are talking about each other, as they're both heading into big fights within the next couple of weeks. Now Triple G is predicting that Canelo will lowball him, that he truly wants to wait another 3 years for this fight to be made. This is obviously reminiscent of Mayweather-Pacquiao again, and it's very possible that Canelo will lowball Gennady Golovkin, just as Floyd Mayweather did the same thing to Manny Pacquiao during 2012 negotiations before Pacquiao lost to Timothy Bradley, the first time officially. Mayweather gave Pacquiao a lowball offer of $40 million, considering the amount of money that was going to be made from that event. And of course, Pacquiao turned it down. It was smart of him to turn it down, considering he was the number one pound-for-pound fighter, according to all the magazines at that time, and was averaging the same type of pay-per-view numbers Mayweather was. So, that fight was truly 50-50. As Mayweather tried to find another excuse to duck Pacquiao. But when it comes to this situation between Triple G and Gennady Golovkin, I mean, Triple G and Canelo. Right now, Canelo is still the A-side in this fight. He is still the guy that is generating much larger gates, selling more tickets, and his fights generate a lot more money compared to Gennady Golovkin. Now Golovkin, his star is rising, but he's not as big in the United States. He's one of the best ticket sellers in the sport, but he doesn't generate near the type of money Canelo does for his fights, especially in Las Vegas, where Canelo has done great business over the past few years for his fights. Now, Golovkin, he's like most fighters. He has a big ego, and he feels he deserves 50-50 for this fight. And while Golovkin is one of the big stars in the game, he's one of the bigger ticket sellers in the game, especially in North America, he's going to have to compromise if he really wants this fight. He needs to look at the bigger picture. A win over Canelo will get him to that level, those type of gates Canelo's producing. You guys don't believe me? Just look at the numbers. Golovkin's biggest gate to date, I believe, was against David Lemieux at Madison Square Garden. They produced a gate of $2 million. That's very good. Not many fighters in America can do that, especially a Kazakhstan fighter who's not even American. That's very impressive. But Canelo's doing twice as much, 3 times as much sometimes. And, you know, I know some fans are going to say, well, he did it against Mayweather and he did it against Mayweather. But Canelo has proven his star power despite not fighting big names like a Mayweather or a Cotto. He did a $20 million gate with Mayweather in Las Vegas. He did a $12 million gate with Cotto in Las Vegas. He did a $7 million gate against Amir Khan in Las Vegas. He sells more pay-per-views, even when he's fighting guys not named Mayweather or Cotto. Twice as much as Golovkin. Just look at Canelo's numbers against Arislandi Lara and against Alfredo Angulo. Now, I know Triple G, he's going to make the biggest purse ever for his upcoming fight against Cal Brook. It's a huge event. So it was a sellout in 11 minutes at the O2 Arena. It's going to do good numbers on the UK pay-per-view But that's UK pay-per-view. Those pay-per-views are actually a lot cheaper compared to American pay-per-views, where pay-per-views can be as high as $75 with the HD. Freaking Mayweather actually had the audacity to charge fans for his last cherry pick against Andre Berto $75 a pop for HD on pay-per-view for a cherry pick fight. But that's how much pay-per-views could be in America. And the UK pay-per-view is, any UK viewers, help me out, 20 quid, 20 pounds. What was that, $25 American dollars? I wish pay-per-views that cost that much in America. Maybe promoters will have better pay-per-view buy rate numbers. But pay-per-views are very overpriced nowadays. $60, $75 if you want HD. But I can see Triple G's concern that he may be lowballed and maybe offered a ridiculous offer to fight Canelo, which would be right for him to turn it down. Now, even though Canelo is still the A side in North America against Golovkin, Golovkin is also a big name. He brings a lot to the table. He needs to be, and he's also a unified champion. He needs to be treated with respect. He can't be giving an offer that type of money that he's already received before fighting other guys. He's got to get an offer that is the most lucrative purse of his career, which will make it reasonable. He's got to be given a fair percentage, whether that's 35% or 40%. At the end of the day, it's got to be the biggest purse Golovkin has ever made in his career, because he brings that type of power to make this financial power, marketability, to make this fight even bigger because of his name recognition. Their two names together make this fight huge. Though I agree Canelo is the A side. I don't feel it's 50-50 right now at this very moment, because Canelo's producing way larger numbers than Golovkin at both the gate and at the box office and also on pay-per-view. Now, Canelo, he's talking about Golovkin. He needs to shut the fuck up. He's already embarrassed himself enough by, vacating the title and ducking him, not willing to fight him, only giving a verbal agreement of September 17, not a binding agreement, wearing t-shirts that say never back down, just stop. Now, he's embarrassed himself with the Golovkin situation. But Canelo, overall, has stepped up. He signed to fight Paul Williams. It's not his fault Paul Williams went through an unfortunate incident that ended his career. He fought Erislandy Lara when he didn't have to. He fought Austin Trout right before a big fight against Mayweather. He fought difficult styles. He's taken tough fights. And he delivered on the biggest night of his career when at least according to my eyes, he clearly soundly defeated Miguel Cotto. But he can't afford to let this fight not take place by 2017. I mean, who knows what could happen? Maybe Golovkin's star power will continue to rise. Maybe he'll find another pay-per-view dance partner, and maybe he could gain more leverage at the negotiating table. Maybe he could become undisputed. But I really doubt Saunders will fight Golovkin before he fights Canelo. So that could be out of the question. But there's a perfect example of this situation. There's similarities between Mayweather and Pacquiao. When Mayweather offered Pacquiao a lowball offer, considering they were pretty much the same star power at the time, that fight was 50-50 at the time. But you have to look at the Cotto Maravilla situation. Even though Maravilla was the lineal champion at the time, he was the B-side. Because Cotto, he flexed his A-side status in that fight and was a complete diva, as Maravilla was pretty much the one that created that word, another boxing term, called Cotto a diva. Took a lower purse, had to walk out of the ring first, even though traditionally a champion walks second, and he was also introduced first. Felt disrespected by Cotto for not honoring traditions of boxing. But Cotto was the A-side. He was the guy that was on pay-per-view. He produced much bigger gates compared to Maravilla. Even though Maravilla did good numbers with Chavez Jr. in his pay-per-view fight prior to Miguel Cotto. He also had a lot of people come to his fight in Argentina, but he wasn't as big a star as Cotto, so that's why he was a B-side, despite him being the champion. Now, even though Golovkin is a much bigger star, he produces much bigger gates compared to Maravilla, Canelo is even a bigger star than Miguel Cotto. Just look at the numbers he's done with Mayweather compared to Mayweather-Cotto numbers. Canelo's a bigger star. He's got a way bigger fan base, and he's produced some tremendous gates, especially in Las Vegas. So I'm hoping this is not another Mayweather-Pacquiao situation where we have to wait 2 or 3 years for this fucking fight. But it just looks like negotiations between these two guys who have big egos just might make it just very difficult for this fight to be made. But it doesn't matter now. Both guys have fish to fry. They have some fights upcoming. And in my opinion, Golovkin is more at risk at being upsetted against Kell Brook than Liam Smith beating Canelo, because of the situations involved. Golovkin is traveling. He's fighting a much better fighter in Kell Brook, despite the weight. Kell Brook's a better fighter than Liam Smith, pound for pound. Liam Smith is going to America to fight Canelo. He's going to be on his turf. HBO is going to be involved. While Golovkin, even though HBO is distributing the fight in America, it's going to be on Kell Brook's turf, on Sky, in London, and where they have to defend their title against a very good fighter in Kell Brook. So we'll see what goes down these next upcoming fights. If they continue to win, the fight will be built even bigger. A bigger offer will be made for Canelo if this fight keeps getting built up and keep being marinated until the verbal agreement, until it comes the time of the verbal agreement in September of 2017. Though right now, that's all it looks like, just a verbal agreement that could easily change, as negotiations between these two guys is going to be very difficult. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.